Welcome back to another Gazetinha from Gazeta Brazil. I'm Ewan Marshall, and today we're going to have a look at the extremely tight title race in the Brazilian Championship. We've also got a lot of transfer news to catch up on, and we're going to answer the question that all football fans ask themselves one time every week: what is Ronaldinho up to these days?
Charges on. Ronaldinho is one-on-one here. He's quickly surrounded. That doesn't stop him. That does not stop him. He's rocking. He's rolling. Ronnie's ripping it up in Chennai.
So we begin this week talking about the Brazilian Championship, which is now almost reaching its halfway stage. We've played 16 rounds so far, and we've only got 3 games to go before the midpoint of the season. And considering that in 9 of the last 12 years, the champion at the halfway point has gone on to win the league, it might be a good idea for us to pay attention over the next coming weeks. Currently the top 4 are separated by only 3 points. Palmeiras lead the way. 2 points back we have Corinthians and Grêmio, and 1 point behind both of them we have Santos. So Palmeiras have deserved their top spot. They've been playing the most entertaining football so far and have put together some good home form as well. But like an exotic dancer with sweaty hands, their grip on pole might start to slip, as after several home wins, they have now failed to win their last 2 games in front of their own fans, drawing against rival Santos and losing 1-0 to Atlético Mineiro last weekend. So a possible explanation for this brief downturn in form is the loss of 2 key players, Fernando Praz and Gabriel Jesus. Praz, beyond being their miracle working goalkeeper, is also the club captain, while Gabriel Jesus, the 19-year-old forward, is their leading centre forward and is also the leading scorer in the Brazilian Championship at the moment. Now, both of them have been called away to the Brazilian Olympic squad to play in the Rio Games in August. And in the case of Gabriel Jesus in particular, almost all of Palmeiras' attacks go through him, and they're finding it very difficult to replace him while he's away. And while we're on the subject, it appears that after receiving a personal phone call from Pep Guardiola himself, Gabriel Jesus is now set to be a Manchester City player. Fees have reportedly been agreed to take the youngster over to Manchester at the end of this year, although there still exists a remote possibility that he will leave at the end of the Olympics, and an even remoter possibility that he may stay at Palmeiras until the middle of 2017. Manchester United are reportedly also interested in Jesus, but after a little pep talk, it seems that Gabriel is pretty set on City. Now, Palmeiras are not the only top 4 side to have lost players to the Olympic squad. In 3rd place you have Grêmio, who have lost their exciting forward Luan, and Santos in 4th place have been hit harder than most, losing 3 of their first team players, among them Drake lookalike Gabigol in attack, who actually seems to have played his last game for Santos, as obviously he knows that when Juventus ring, that can only mean one thing. Now, both Palmeiras and Corinthians have got 2 away games coming up, and before they close the first half of the season at home in front of their own fans. Santos, meanwhile, have got 2 home games to look forward to before closing the first half of the season away to the hopeless América Mineiro, while all 3 of Grêmio's final games come against newly promoted sides. So next on the agenda we have a brief transfer roundup, as last week saw the closing of the international transfer window for Brazilian clubs. It's a bit of a strange rule because, of course, transfer windows all around the world are still wide open, and that means that Brazilian clubs can still lose their best players to overseas, but can only rely on home-based players to replace them. However, we have grown to expect such illogical rules from the Brazilian FA, an organisation whose president, Marco Polo Del Nero, unlike his 13th century namesake, is afraid to travel outside of Brazil for fear of being arrested by the FBI on corruption charges. Anyway, back to the transfers, and the big story of this particular window was the return of former Santos playmaker Diego, who spent 12 years in Europe playing for Porto, Werder Bremen, Juventus, Wolfsburg, Atletico Madrid, and most recently Fenerbahce. And after years of will he, won't he, or Diego, no go, he has now signed a 3-year contract with Rio de Janeiro giants Flamengo. Now, São Paulo Football Club have also been busy in this transfer market, having been forced to rebuild after losing their key players Paulo Henrique Ganso and Jonathan Caleri to European football. And their coach Edgardo Bauza, apparently tired of speaking Portuguese, has now brought in 3 foreign players. We have the nippy Peruvian winger Christian Cueva, We have former Boca Juniors striker Andres Chaves and Bauza's favourite, the industrious right wing back Julio Buffarini. Everything seems to be a bit up in the air at São Paulo though, as they were recently eliminated from the Copa Libertadores semi-finals, and in the league they are sitting 10 points behind the leaders Palmeiras, and there is even talk that Edgardo Bauza may be leaving the club to manage the Argentinian national side. So it's best to kind of wait and see a little bit on São Paulo. Now, at the beginning of the show, we posed the question, what is Ronaldinho up to these days? Well, this. And more impressively, this.
Ronaldinho, Rafael, back to Ronaldinho! Hat-trick inside the first half!
Now, after leaving Fluminense last year, Ronaldinho has been touring around various American clubs, playing one-off friendlies in Ecuador, Peru, Guatemala and Mexico, and he rounded off his Harlem Globetrotter-like tour with a few games in the Indian Futsal League, where just last week he scored 5 times as his side Goa beat Bengaluru 7-2, a side captained by Paul Scholes, of all people. Meanwhile, as a man of many talents, Ronaldinho has just released his own emoji application. They're Ronaldinho-themed emojis, of course, titled rather charmingly Emojinos. And at the same time, he's also trying his hand in the music business, collaborating with the Forró Eletrônico superstar Wesley Safadão, who, despite looking like the frontman of a crap 2000s metalcore band, is actually quite a big thing in Brazilian music at the moment. So that's all for this week's Gazetinha. Get in touch with us, let us know what you thought of the episode, and send all of your favourite Wesley Safadão tunes by leaving a comment below or getting in touch with us on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, or you can drop us an email as well. I'll put all those informations in the description. And of course, until next time, subscribe to the page so you can get more Gazeta Brazil goodness every week. And I'm Ewan Marshall saying ciao e até mais.